and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. I hope you're doing very, very well. Today's video is 23 questions that I asked you guys to ask me, so I could answer 23 questions at the beginning of 2023. Now, a lot of these questions are about the year, looking forward, things that I'm looking forward to, maybe a few reflections on last year, but also just a few random questions. So I just sort of pulled together. Some of them were similar, so hopefully if your specific question hasn't been answered, then something similar will have been answered. So there's 23, so we better crack on really. The first question is, any house projects you'd like to do by the end of 2023? Yes. Our spare bedroom, it's got a daybed in it. We were like, that's so helpful. When we moved in, the daybed was there, and we were like, oh, that's so helpful. Whenever we have people to stay, we're always gonna have a spare room for them. We've used it twice. So we've got a daybed, and basically it just has rubbish on it in terms of like just stuff that needs to go somewhere else. So we'll have like stuff that needs to go to the storage, stuff that needs to go to the charity shop, stuff. So we are planning on making that second bedroom into an office space for David. There's already a desk in there. It's a very small desk. It was a desk that my friend Emma gave us when she moved out of our house, and it's a small desk anyway, but for David it feels like a really small desk. He's got two monitors that he needs for work. So yeah, what I'm basically saying is that we're hoping to do up the office, the second bedroom, into an office. Going to get rid of the bed. We're going to get a new set of drawers. The set of drawers that we've got in there at the moment are an IKEA ones that have done me really, really well, but I bought when I first moved in with my friend Neve, and they've sort of been on every single move I've done, taken apart, put back together, and they are on their, I mean, I'd say they're on their last legs, like they are broken. So we need a new set of drawers, desk chair. I don't know what else we're going to do with the space in there, because we're going to get rid of the daybed just because we don't need it. But I think David maybe wants to put a few little bits in there, because this space is very much my own. Although we both sit in the lounge and everything, but this space is very much my own. So I don't know if David wants to do something in there, but I'm thinking pink and green. I very much like pink and green together. But yeah, we'll have a little think. But that is something that I would like to have done by the end of the year. I'd also like to re-paper our bedroom wallpaper, but that is not... I think if we're doing one project, we tend to do like one thing a year, and we want to get the second bedroom done. So that's the answer to that question. How did the 2022 low spend year go? It went really well. Things fell off by the end of the year because we were getting married at the end of the year. Got married in December, and what I've been doing, if you are unfamiliar with the low spend year I did last year, is I bought myself one thing a month, from a list of stuff that I needed. So if I ever thought, oh well, I wouldn't mind buying that, I'd put it on a list, and then when it came to payday, I would say, right, well, you're allowed one thing from this list, you're only allowed one thing. And it meant I was really, I really thought about the things that I was buying, and I also, hanging on meant that sometimes I was able to find a better deal. So I remember January last year, I bought 5 pairs of period knickers from Wooker, and because I'd sort of hung on, they'd sent me a 20% off code, so I was able to get that, and I bought a bundle of 5 rather than for much cheaper than I would have bought if I'd have just bought like one pair. So I just, yeah, been able to sort of like have a moment to think about these purchases. I was very, very guilty of sort of like going, because I don't do much shopping, and if I'm being honest, I don't really enjoy the process of going into a shop, going into a clothes shop and shopping and things like that. So a lot of my clothes buys were sort of like impulse purchases from supermarkets and stuff like that. All of this had sort of very much wound down in the past few years when I'd started buying stuff secondhand. But yeah, last year I think I really needed to do it. And the aim was to get myself out of my overdraft, which by the end of the year I had done. So it was a highly, highly successful thing that I did. And then, as I said, towards the end of last year, things started dropping off because I was sort of like needing to buy stuff for the wedding. And whereas I was like saving up waiting until the end of the month and then buying loads of skincare stuff, like the skincare stuff I needed, by the time we were getting to the end of the year, I was like, well, I need makeup for my wedding, and I need skincare for my wedding. So yeah, so by the end of the year it had fallen off, but it was a very, very successful year in terms of like, I definitely reduced my buying and my spending and the stuff coming into the house. And I need to look at doing that again this year, because I thought it was very good, and I would like to pay off my credit card this year. So if I can get out of my overdraft last year, then I can pay off my credit card this year, hopefully. What are you most looking forward to this year? I think I'm most looking forward to our honeymoon. David and I got married, as I said, at the end of last year, and we're going on a honeymoon sort of halfway through the year to Norway, which will be amazing. David and I aren't big travellers, and neither of us like hot weather. So going to Norway seems like the perfect thing to do. And we've both been sort of interested in Scandinavia and things like that. So yeah, we're both very, very, very excited about that. We're a bit perplexed as to what to do in terms of what we're going to wear, because I think the places we're going to in Norway, when I was looking at like what the temperature can be, it can range from like 7 to like 23. So I was like, I don't know what we're going to pack for these things, so I need to have a good think about that. And I'd also like to read some Norwegian books ahead of going and get familiar with some Norwegian culture and things like that. We're doing a few sort of like art gallery visits, and we're going to a fishing museum and a troll tour. There's a film called Troll on Netflix that I would like to watch, which is to do with a troll in Norway. And also we had a look to see other Norwegian films and TV shows, but they're all about murder. We thought we won't do that. So yeah, I think the thing I'm looking forward to most this year is going on the honeymoon with David. And I'm so pleased we did it, like got married and then however many months later going on our honeymoon, because it's really meant that we've had something to sort of like look forward to. And David and I haven't even really been on a proper holiday together. We normally do like weekend breaks and centre parks and things like that. So yes, this will be the first time we're away for, hopefully we make it. Any big lifestyle or reading changes for this year? A reading change I can already sort of see happening is that I've been finding myself interested in is reading a little bit more fantasy and sort of like those epic fantasy books. I read Outlander at the earlier on this year, she says. I was still only in January. Very much enjoyed it. And when I've been getting stuff out from the library, I've sort of been like leaning towards more fantasy stuff. I haven't read anything like that yet, apart from Outlander, but like I feel like that seems to be a bit of a change in me. I feel excited about things like that. Hopefully the books that I'm actually getting out from the library I'm going to enjoy. Lifestyle changes, I don't know that there are lifestyle changes going on this year. This factors into a question a bit later on, so maybe I'll leave that for them, but like I'd like to stay on top of my diabetes. I'd like to move a little bit more. We've had a very sort of sedentary couple of months, because not only has it been like winter, this has been like the coldest. I don't know if it's because we're not having the heating on as much because energy prices, but this feels like the coldest winter it's been in a really long time. So I feel like I've been very, very sedentary, so I'm looking forward to like it getting a bit lighter and moving a little bit more. But yeah, no sort of lifestyle changes as yet, but that I'm in flux, guys. That could change at any time. Do I feel any different being married? If I'm being honest, not at all. It feels just as lovely as being in a couple with David. I suppose we are still in a couple. The only thing that is different is that I've occasionally referred to him as my husband, which I'm not used to doing. Only the other day I was at work and I was like, oh, my boyfriend is, and they were like, he's not your boyfriend anymore, he's your husband. So yeah, I've got to get used to saying that. So that's the only thing that does feel different. Like I think when you start referring to your boy, because I never called it, like David sometimes referred to me as his fiance, but I don't think I ever referred to David as my fiance. So yeah, that feels a bit different. But apart from that, not really. It just feels lovely still, absolutely lovely still. Would you ever want to do YouTube full time? The honest answer is no, I don't think I would. I always thought I would, but last year, the next question, so here we go, we'll answer two questions in one. How is working part-time going? So last year in September, I took up an opportunity that I've been asking for so long at work, whereby I reduced my working hours. Only a little bit, but it meant that I was able to have Fridays off. So I now don't work on a Friday. You may well be familiar with this. I do these Friday reading vlogs and film some other videos on a Friday. And that has been amazing, and that has given me all the time and creative space to think up videos I want to film and allowing the time for these things that I could ever have wanted. So all I ever needed was to reduce my hours by like 5 hours basically in order to do that. And now, yeah, I do these reading vlogs on a Friday and film an additional video on that day. And yeah, things just, I've seemed to have got myself into a really good groove. So I put out 3 videos a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays. And as I said, one of them is always a reading vlog. often is always a reading vlog, and then something else, and then I work from home on a Thursday and I finish at 4, so that means that I'm already home. Normally it takes me like over an hour to get home, so that means I'm already home. So by 5 o'clock I'm ready to film, and I've filmed a video, or are filming a video. So yeah, just a slight adjustment in my sort of like working environment and my working hours has just given me all the time, and yeah, it's just been amazing. So previously I would have said yes, definitely, because I always thought I needed to be full-time YouTubing in order to achieve what I want to with the channel, and I'm really pleased with how things are going with the channel at the moment. But turns out I didn't need to be. Also, I am good at my job, and I enjoy my job, and I enjoy the interactions I have with my colleagues and with patients and things like that, and I can't imagine myself not doing something like that. So maybe eventually I might go even further part-time in order to lend more time to the channel, but I definitely don't need to do that at the moment, and that's only a maybe. Like, I'm really doing everything that I could wish to be doing. Have you ever considered writing a novel? When I was younger I used to love creative writing, and I think it was something to do with like not feeling embarrassed a lot when I was younger. Like now, whenever I've done any writing, and they say sort of like write what you know, and what I know is sitting at home reading and just sort of like having a lovely time. And that doesn't make for brilliant reading. When I have done any creative writing, I always find myself cringing as I read it back, and that's more my issue. Well, it is my issue. But yeah, I don't think I've got anything in there, and I'm so delighted to like read other people's books and have a lovely time reading them, and I just don't think I've got it in me to ever write a novel, and I wouldn't even know what to do it about. I mean, no, I just don't think I have. I don't know if my voice, I was going to say, is as eloquent as it is when I'm speaking, but I don't know how eloquent it is when I'm speaking. But yeah, I would never write a novel, I just wouldn't. Any tips or advice for going vegetarian or vegan? The way I did it, and I've sort of like never looked back, was I went from, I mean, I was never that much of a meat eater anyway, and I sort of had a year of transition where I became a pescatarian for a year, and then went to being vegetarian. I think be kind to yourself. Find things that you like, there's plenty and plenty of cookbooks out there. I would say the Green Roasting Tin's your best thing to go to. Green Roasting Tin by Rukmini Iya. If you're thinking of going vegetarian or vegan, that book is half vegetarian, half vegan, and all of those recipes in there, they're all bangers. There's nothing rubbish in there, and they're all ones that my meat-eating husband, because he is my husband, loves. Like when I first went vegetarian, David would say, oh well, I'm gonna need to eat meat I'll eat a bit of vegetarian, but I'm gonna need to eat meat, and he doesn't eat meat at all now, as in when we're at home. Like I would never cook him meat, he just eats what I'm eating. Gousto is also a really good tool in terms of like variety, if you want to try a few things and get a feel for it, and you can keep those cards as well. What I find with Gousto is that there's 43 vegetarian options a week, which is amazing, and I pick 4 of those. We don't have it all the time, but like I find it very, very helpful, and that way you don't have to source the ingredients as well. And also, if it is only you vegetarian in your house, then you could potentially cook the meal for 2, eat some of it, and then have the rest for lunch or the rest for dinner the next day, which David and I have done before, if David or I haven't been around. But yeah, I think Green Roasting Tin. And just maybe if you're thinking about doing it, then just like reduce your meat intake for a bit. Like I know meat-free Mondays are a really big thing, but like maybe think I'm only going to eat meat at the weekends, and just like ease yourself into it. Because I think if you're going to do a big, it's like with it, like it's like with a diet, isn't it? If you're going to completely change the way you eat, then you're not going to stick to it. You need to relax yourself into it and do what you can. But if anybody else has any tips for how you went vegetarian or vegan, then link down below. What is my most anticipated book of the year? Guys, I don't ever really look at what books are coming out. I sort of, which I think is probably unusual for a booktuber, but I just tend to sort of like see things as they come and think, oh yeah, I'm looking for, oh yeah, that'll be good, but I never really look forward to a book. The only thing I would like is I would like solid confirmation as to whether Sarah Waters is bringing out a book this year. Also, something I always look forward to, and these always like then become my very hyped books, is the Women's Prize for Fiction long list, which is being announced in March. And I tend to try and read all of the books on the long list. And I always really look forward to that. Like, March is my favourite reading month because I do the first half of the month I do the Irish Readathon, and then the second half of the month I concentrate on trying to read books that have been longlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction. So yeah, that's always highly hyped for me. The next question is, what is your most anticipated TV show of the year? Now again, I don't often look forward to these things. There's always there's the standard things I look forward to. Always very much look forward to Strictly. Always very much look forward to the Call the Midwife Christmas special. But 4 things which are starting in the next few months on, oh, the day this is going up, Tuesday. No, when's this going up? Thursday maybe. So anyway, this week Great British Menu has started, which is a programme that I absolutely love and focuses on chefs from different parts of the UK cooking to a theme, and they're like they're like Michelin starred chefs in some instances. And the theme this year is animation, to celebrate the 75th anniversary of Paddington Bear, which I think is going to be amazing. And like the minds of these chefs and how they're able to deliver like beautiful looking themed food that tastes delicious and hits a brief is amazing. And that's on like 3 nights a week for like 9 weeks, so very much looking forward to that. Then there is The Power, which is a TV series going to be on Amazon Prime soon. That's adapted from the book of Naomi Alderman wrote, which actually won the Women's Prize a few years ago. Really looking forward to that. That's like one morning women wake up and they've got an electric charge in their hands, so that is very exciting. Daisy Jones and the Six, which is also an adaptation of a book by, what's her name? Taylor Jenkins Reid. That's going on Amazon Prime as well. Very much enjoyed that book. I've read it and listened to the audiobook, and I think this series is going to be great. It's got Sam Claflin in it. I didn't recognise any of the rest of the cast. The book itself is written as like an interview with the band. It follows a band who are called Daisy Jones and the Six, and the power struggles within that, and their backstories and stuff like that. And I think it looks amazing. The costumes look like they're going to be amazing. And then what was the third thing? There was something else. There was 3 things coming out in March. Maybe it was just, I'm sure there was something else, if it comes to me. But yeah, there we go, those 3 things. And what's my most anticipated film of the year? Again, haven't really got anything to think of in terms of films. I am trying to take part, well, I am going to, and I'm doing very well so far, take part in 100 new to me films for the year. I'm on film 8 at the moment, which is pretty good considering last year I hadn't even watched my first new film until like halfway through February. I am very much into book to film adaptations. I think there's a film version of Lessons in Chemistry coming out, which is a book that I read last year and very much enjoyed. Yeah, let's have a look. Let me have a Google now and then we can find out. Oh, I tell you what, that's out really soon. Women Talking I really want to watch. I'm excited about that. Oh, The Cabin at the End of the World. That's been made into an M. Night Shyamalan film called Knock at the Cabin. Winnie the Pooh's a new Winnie the Pooh film. The Black-Eyed Blonde. Some things I've known. Oh, there's an Emily Bronte film. Oh, there's a new Wuthering Heights. Oh no, The Tale of How. Oh no, Emily. That's already been out. Is this last year's? Oh, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I'm looking forward to watching that. That's got Rachel McAdams in it, and it's a book that I read when I was younger. Maybe Emily hasn't come. Maybe, well, they're saying Emily, but I thought it'd already been out. Oppenheimer, I'm not that excited about that. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, excited about that. Harold and the Purple Crayon, I don't know that one. Salem's Lot. Dune Part 2, my dad will be very excited about that. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, oh that's exciting, isn't it? That's the prequel to Hunger Games. I read that last year. The Colour Purple, oh yeah, oh god, I'm excited to see that. Love Again, which I've not heard of. A Man Called Otto, which I've watched. Emily, the Wuthering Heights one. So there we go. A few. Nothing I'm absolutely off my head excited about, but there we go. Will I be cooking my way through any cookbooks? No, I haven't made plans for that, but I really should, because I got a lot of cookbooks for Christmas, and I haven't had much of a chance to cook out of them. I've cooked out of my my vegetarian Mowgli book, Meat Free Mowgli, which I've enjoyed, but I got quite a few for Christmas. So I used to do a project before I even started BookTube and things like that. I used to pick a Jamie Oliver cookbook and then cook my whole way through it. That was what my Instagram account was, just me cooking my way through a cookbook with the worst food photography I've ever seen. And I used to have such a lovely time, and so did all of my friends and family, because I'd be like, do you want to come around this weekend? I'm doing this, this, this and this. So yeah, maybe I'll do myself a little project. Maybe that could be one of my channel projects for this year. Cooking my way through a cookbook in a month or in a couple of months or something like that. And logging it. Yeah, maybe. Would I ever consider doing a bookish or lifestyle podcast? Now, when I went part-time, this was something that was at top of my list, was at the top of my list, because I did have an idea, which I won't share with you yet, because I don't know if I'm still going to do it, but it would be a podcast where I spoke about books, but also about other stuff that I was sort of doing. So like maybe a film I'd watched, or a TV show I'd watched, or something I'd seen at the theatre, or something completely different, and I would get maybe different people on. However, the people I know are people aren't going to be interested in. They're my mum. They're my mates from school. They're my mates from university. There's things like that. But I think the concept is probably quite good, and good for recommendations, because I like recommendations. So I need to have a little think about that. And it's quite current, because it would be out weekly, and sort of like weekly stuff about, like, it might not be that you've seen a new film at the cinema, but it might be that you saw an old film. But I'd like it to come out sort of like as those films or TV shows were on. So yeah, so I've got an idea about that, but it hasn't got any further. So maybe, but we'll see. Maybe, but we'll see. What does a perfect day look like for me? No alarm clock. That's nice. Reading in bed with a cup of tea that's been made for me by somebody else. Some sort of egg-related breakfast, sat on the sofa, still reading. Then a walk somewhere. Maybe a beach. It's winter. It's like, or like it's a mild winter day. It's one of those bright, crisp, sunny days. So a walk somewhere, a beach, but not too windy so I don't get an earache. Or like somewhere foresty but with a path. Then out for lunch in a pub maybe, or somewhere else with friends. And then back, oh bloody hell, this just could be Sundays. And then back at home on the sofa watching something with David under a blanket, probably Call the Midwife. That's the perfect day for me. That's lovely. Do I use a Kindle or an e-reader? Why or why not? So I used to have a Kindle, but it is so old it won't even charge up now, and I can't get onto the, before it died, I couldn't get onto the Kindle store because it's so old. Although my dad's got a very old one, and but maybe he's just reading the stuff that's already on it. So yeah, I had one of like the first, I think it was the second generation Kindle, because my dad had one that had like a little keypad, like a keyboard at the bottom, but mine didn't. And I used it a lot, and I got on very well with it. I got a new phone a couple of years ago, and as part of that package they gave me a tablet, and I used that to log into the Libby app, and for a while I was using that to read books on from the Libby app. It wasn't an e-reader, it was a tablet, so it had like that glare and you couldn't really use it outside if it was sunny and stuff like that. But it was helpful, and I do read very quickly when I'm reading on an e-reader or a Kindle, but it wasn't a very good tablet, and as it got older, it was really like you'd press to turn the page and it would take ages, so I just sort of abandoned it. The reason why I don't have one now is because I guess I've got enough to be getting on with. I wouldn't ever rule out getting one again, because like I say, I read very quickly, and if I was to go, so for example when we go on our honeymoon, I'm going to be taking like 10 books with me, but if you were to take a Kindle that would be lovely. But yeah, ultimately I love books, being around books, and I like holding books and lending those books out afterwards. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I wouldn't rule out ever having one, but I just haven't got one at the moment. Maybe no, I don't know. I don't think I'd think, oh, I need to get myself one. I don't feel like, as a reader, I don't feel like I need that. And I use the library so much as well, although I could then get it on Libby and that's what I was doing before. So yeah, the answer's no, I don't have one. Will I be getting one? I don't think so, but I wouldn't be. I'm not against them. Do you feel the pressure to read certain hyped books? I don't know if pressure is the word, but I definitely feel like hyped by people. So if I watch a video, so if I've watched like 3 videos in a row and they've all read, what's the closest book to me? 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. By the end of that, probably first video, I'm like, actually, I'd like to watch that. So if the more people I see talk about something, the more I do want to read it. So not necessarily pressure, but the hype definitely works on me, both on like just talking to people in real life and watching booktube. Do I feel pressure to read certain hyped books? I don't think I do, but like I said, the more people I hear talk about something, the more I think, oh yeah, I would like to read that. But that's definitely more of a sort of desire rather than, oh, I better read that. I never really feel like I better read that. I always feel like, oh, I'd like to read that. Any health or fitness goals for 2023? So as I said earlier, I would like to stay on top of my diabetes, but I think that is also, yeah, that is coming a bit later on. So one thing I have got planned, and I'm very much looking forward to it, as I said, I've been quite sedentary these past few months because cold and dark and wet. And what I would like to challenge myself to do, because I love a challenge and I love logging these sort of things, is I would like to walk 1 million steps in 100 days, which is roughly, well, it's 10,000 steps a day. And I would like to start this on the day that the clocks go back forward, which I think is the 26th of March. If it's not the 26th of March, it's towards the end of March. And then for the 100 days following that, I'd like to, within that day, within those 100 days, I'd like to walk 1 million steps. So I would log it and be like, oh, day 1, I walked 10,000 steps. Day 2, I walked 15,000 steps. Day 3, I walked 8,000 steps. But like, so it's going to be like, I don't have to walk 10,000 steps a day, but within those 100 days, I have to walk 1 million steps. And I feel like I would quite enjoy logging that and how many steps I've done, and if I'm ahead of target or on target or behind target, and doing that sort of thing. And also I think that sort of challenge is more manageable. I work from home 1 day a week, and on the day that I'm doing my YouTube stuff, I normally walk to the library or walk to my sister's or can go for a walk and listen to an audiobook. So I think, and what with the days being longer, it means that potentially I can go for a walk. At the moment, I can't go for a walk when I get home from work because it's dark, and I can't go in the morning because it's dark. So, and also within those 100 days falls our honeymoon, and I imagine we'll be doing a lot of walking on our honeymoon. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to that as a sort of health or fitness goal. And I just think, like, it's nice to walk, isn't it? I'm quite fortunate that the people I like to socialise and spend time with, they're all people that like walking as well. So it'll be a nice way to spend time with people. And also David got me, which we haven't started yet, but for Christmas David got me National Trust membership. So we're going to sign up for that and hopefully start going to a few National Trust places at the weekends and go for walks around there, which will be lovely. Do I plan to have any babies? Now I've included this because some of you may well know the answer to this question instantly. The answer is no, but if you haven't been here for a while, you might not know that. But also, people had stopped asking me that for a long time. So David and I, neither of us want children. I don't feel like I've ever potentially wanted children. I think it was always assumed, like people used to say, oh, when you're a mum, you'll feel like this and da-da-da. And it never was, I was never like, oh yeah, when I'm a mum, I was always just a bit like, I don't know if I will have children. And I was fortunate that my life partner David also doesn't want children. We like children, we like spending time with our niece and our friends' kids, but we just don't want our own kids. I haven't thought deeply into it. We both don't want children. We're both very happy with our life. I always feel back when I say, oh, we're both very happy with our lives, but that's not to imply that people who have children weren't happy with their lives and had children to complete them. But I don't see what having children could add to mine and David's lives. Like I don't lust over or think over having, like, taking, like, children just being part of my life. I don't imagine that ever. But as I was saying, people had stopped asking me, and I wondered if it's because I'm 36 now. I wondered if it's because maybe I'm of an age now where people would just think, oh, she's probably too old to have kids now. People had stopped asking. But since we got married, people have started asking us again, when are you gonna have kids? Like, and it is a bit more like, rather than when are you gonna have kids, there's like, when are you gonna have kids? Do you plan to have kids? Have you got kids? But yeah, we don't plan to have kids, and we weren't waiting to get married before we decided that. We just don't want kids. So the answer to that is no, we won't have babies. Do I feel pressure to read lots? No, but again, it's the same sort of thing in terms of that question I said earlier about do you feel pressure to read hyped books? I feel pressure of myself because at the moment, I'm filming this on the 28th of January. Yeah, the 28th of January. And I picked such an amazing TBR for January, and I've been reading such good books, and then like I've really enjoyed all of the books I've read so far this year, and then I'm looking at my TBR like, I didn't get a chance to read all the amazing books I wanted to read this month, and I've already got plans for February's reading. So the pressure is just that there's so many good books, I think. I don't feel pressure in terms of like it's being a certain number to entertain you guys, or it being a certain number for me to think I'm a worthy booktuber or I've read enough books this month. I just want to read all the books, and like as I'm finishing a book I'm so excited to start the next one, and I'm thinking, oh, which one could I start after that? So yeah, it's the pressure from myself really, just and I guess just the pressure in terms of there just being loads and loads of books. So there we go. How is your diabetes control at the moment? I said there was a diabetes question coming up. I have got type 2 diabetes. I've had it for, well, I got diagnosed with it during lockdown and managed to reverse it. I was just sort of like over the cusp of it being pre-diabetes into type 2 diabetes, and managed to reverse it with dietary changes, couch to 5k, which was amazing. And then it came back because I can't keep it at bay forever. And I'm now on medication for it. So I'm now on metformin and still doing the dietary things. As I said, been very sedentary recently, haven't really moved much because of the time of year and it being cold and everything. So I think that's also another reason I want to do this like walking challenge, is to get myself up and about a bit more. My diabetes control is stable. It's not as good as it's been in the past. Obviously I've managed to reverse my diabetes before, so it's not as good as I've done in the past, but I think it's a combination of it having been my wedding, my mini moon, Christmas. So all of these things where I was like, I don't want to miss out on having lovely things, and also I'm not moving at all. Like, this isn't the best time of year for anyone's diabetes control. I also work in a diabetes centre, and we rarely get people calling these months because people have had like a big Christmas and stuff like that. So yeah, it's stable. I'm not concerned about it at the moment, but I know this year I can give myself a few more positive things to make my diabetes a bit more stable. I tell you what I have got coming up though, my retinal screening. I've never had retinal screening before. That's coming up in February. So that's coming up too. There we go. Is there a book you said you would read in 2022 that you will read in 2023? Loads of them. Loads and loads of them. I've got some really good graphic novels in 2022. So I've got Wake by Rebecca Hall, which I'm excited about. I've got the Fun Home by Alison Bechdale. So those are definitely ones that I wanted to read. Let's have a look and see if there's anything else that I wanted to get to in 2022. I just think, I mean, obviously when I'm buying books, I always think I'm going to get to them instantly, and I never do. Yeah. I can't think of any like specifics, but yes, there were. So the last question, guys, we've made it. Which one word do you hope defines 2023 for you? And this is a word, something I strive for in my life. Contentment. I'm a big advocate for contentment. Sure, joy and excitement and thrills are all great, but for me, she's coughing, I'm never more happy. I mean, you heard me describe earlier my perfect day. I'm never happier than being sat on the sofa with a loved one under a blanket, reading a book and having a cup of tea. Like, that is just, for me, that is joy. So I would strive for contentment, because it's absolutely a wonderful place to be. So there we go, 23 questions at the beginning of 2023. Would love to hear your answers to some of these questions down below. Let me know, and I'll see you all again soon for another BookTube video. Goodbye.